And we having businessmen will complain. Ila kulun kanale fu banjol. Ibuka jino ebuka ila bagaso jin. They turn back. They cut off and gold drop into Senegal. Gambia bagaso kajisena. Massive wallet.
Dr. Ture contributed immensely to the failure of Adam Barrow regime from 2017 to 2020.
Manke mola afoye ko babun wok monkey it bar ko metela jero yaje ko wala be tamakan NPP kono.
Yes, ngajale because ya kende fangola I was victim. Who? The party executive. President ya bulobula among intervene because atele sonta yenna the political campaign.
Baro e muno famoni. Ning hanata ko men ko be jaralale. We transport people from Mali, Sierra Leone and other countries. But we are going to do it. Pour ka mol transport ni nalana can support for 5 years on moesia fraud.
Bari ita bono la ko ha minister la jodo atale ngati nga minister tal allowance la pa mol membe duma minister patata nyaonya mol membe marché oto jendan jaay o famasol do Sénégal membe bolon kono wolle patata minister ti koton te balafa no la minister e ka po minister la jodo atale nga balafa wanto director la jodo atale nga balafa.
Yaya has the political power. Yaya has the political popularity in the Gambia. Hanipi molbe lafringale anu hanipi ala yamaro na futa molkana anga.
Let it be put straight that marriage should be between a man and a woman only if they reach the age of 18 and above, or if they reach maturity, because people could be matured before they reach 18.
So every year, the GFF receives $1 million from FIFA, $500,000 in January, and another $500,000 in July.
Hello, everybody. This is a message from Washington West African Center calling us to mean a community that is loving, peaceful, and free from domestic abuse.
Benyum futandila mol mamini alon ko wolle be Washington sate kono. Ko wato sitele pour nga soutero ke num fana nga nyo hakilo bulandi domestic violence la sembola warola na kabilol ka. Natre manyim fa. Domestic violence atele mantoraro sifati aning maral nyal min yalon ko manki maral nya kendoti melka kenu aning hani kabe aka kele sakantuma mol tema min yalon ko kanu nyoma fulol lem na kordal kono aning ngam bulol la nyoka kaje ko nga dimbayal soto min yalon ko ibe kala dimbaya kendo lati andum ibe kala fenneti sama fana aning sanyu lonko yimman torarol kamen for domestic violence abe kerinen na kabilol kono bari kibar di ma momenti doron wolen ko besem bulol lano nyokanne kaje ko nga bang yin domestic violence amantoro be kewol ni musol bele kan bari asembo fango be warari musol le kan sekeno kilindi le na mol ma ko miliyalon ko nyimman tororol be wolle tam anum fanan kaytandi mol la miliyalon ko wolle ba kikan ko ibe men kikan amu kulati miliyalon ko amanya na kela anu mol manya na sonna domestic violence amo kulati mi yalon ko mol buka ko bake anu fanan dol ma faamu bake bari wato sitale pour nga ñoo hakilo bulandi ni salon anu fanan aben na kabilol kono nyami ni sa fahamu bari nyimu mo be la sula ko ti fanan kaje ko nga hikkilinti nyin kamma se dimbal soto dimbal men yalon ko sirin sama se ke fendi anu fanan isen nafa e mo ko dengol nafa pour ka ñin domestic violence bali kake ñanta ka kabilol la soto mi yalon ko taranyobulu kendol be soto laje adum mbajala ko nga taranyobulu jawol ngol banfere natur tako ite lata le ko nyum mon toro be kan fero ke yekumandu ke Washington West African Center
Manuel
Good evening, viewers. Welcome back to your favorite program, Bankola Kuwo. With me here today, is Honorable Amadou Sanneh. But first, I will extend my greetings to each and everyone out there who are watching us in the country, outside, from different areas, and also extending prayers to all of you for us to keep on witnessing many more years to come with good health and prosperity. We realize we are from what they call Musukoto. So greetings once again here with me. Tonight, we're going to look at the current situation or the outlook of the country's economy. Here with me, Amadou Sanneh. Honorable, you can greet the viewers. I know today we didn't start with Mandinka, but this flow is open. We jump from one language to the other. So first of all, it's been a while they're not seeing you.
Yes.
Tell them where you are.
Assalamu alaikum. Happy Muharram, and I wish everybody a very successful and prosperous Muslim New Year. Airlines, all our prayers and our acts of worship. Ibadah. I've not been around for a while. I was in the country, but busy as a farmer.
Farming as
when the rainy season starts, farmers start to run away from the city to the bush. So I was doing my best to do something.
Great.
But thank God.
I think we all have to go back to the land at some point, and then interesting. Thank you very much, Honorable. It's been a while. Although we have been having the platform Bankola Kuwo discussing political issues, different things, but it's been a while we didn't talk strictly on the issue of the economy of the country, which is very, very, very important for us to look at some point. Not all the time politics. From pandemic, when the COVID started in 2019, there were a lot of things that happened with regards to the economy going down, with regards to people struggling, survival was hard, and then even at some point, those sending some remittances from outside, reduces drastically. This was a problem that the entire world was facing, and one of the strongest economies were suffering. The biggest economies were suffering. US, China, and others. Now, why not the Gambia? Very small.
Why not the Gambia? Good question.
Why not us? But now, where I'm driving at is, it's been a while now when COVID happens, and from 2019 to now, it's been a while. So, but how would you describe the economy of the country at this moment? Because before COVID, we were around at least 6.6 GDP %. When COVID came, we witnessed going 0.6%. Then from 2020, 2021, now 2020. But how will you describe the current situation of our economy? And exactly.
Yes, thank you very much. You see, the economy is a dynamic, what do I call it? A very dynamic situation that every country has. And after the COVID, a lot of countries have put in measures and policies to help the economy rebound and prosper again, and somehow succeeded in securing, growth of very high standards. So many incentives are given to the business sectors, the private sector, to help them recover from the shocks of the COVID. Gambia, as a country, really, we have not seen much of that. To say this strategy is to help businesses bounce back. It could have been through tax incentives. It could have been through providing very cheap loans to businesses to boost their capital and for them to invest.
Mhm.
Really,
You mean giving it to private sectors
to the
and
private
to
sector,
encourage them?
mainly, yes. And then also to boost the agricultural economy,
Mhm.
because we know 75% of our workforce are in agriculture,
Mhm.
and it contributes about 25% of the GDP.
Mhm.
But to help that 75% of the population, you need to give them a boost. Okay, fertilizer, you can see previous year,
Mhm.
it was priced out of the reach of many farmers.
Mhm.
2,500 and 2,000.
That was around last year, I
Last
recall.
year, yes. So that would have affected the volume, the production,
Mhm.
quality, and productiveness
Mhm.
of farmers.
Mhm.
Not having adequate fertilizer or
Mhm.
able to afford it.
Mhm.
So the output will be low,
Mhm.
and definitely as a sector that contributes about 25% of GDP,
Mhm.
that means your exports in agricultural products will go down.
Mhm.
This year, it's said to be
Mhm.
subsidized to $1,000.
Mhm.
Or so. But then many farmers are saying, where is it? Some people are complaining that they cannot see
The fertilizer.
the distribution system is poor. Some are claiming
Mhm.
that it's been sold across the country.
Mhm.
Some are claiming, as a businessmen who are buying and stocking, but it's not reaching the farmers as it should.
Mhm.
So the farmers again will suffer that consequence, and the agricultural sector will also be a victim of that situation.
Mhm.
So investments in agriculture in terms of machinery,
Mhm.
in terms of irrigation,
Mhm.
in terms of capacity building, bringing in experts in various areas in agriculture,
Mhm.
poultry, livestock management, fisheries. It's not there.
Yeah, we will.
All of those, they're not there.
Mhm.
Then the other thing is,
Yeah, we will come to that. You will continue. You've mentioned an area that is very important, which is the livestock sector. Because here, when you talk of agriculture, people only think of growing crops. That comes to people's mind all the time when you say agriculture. Yes, but before that, the issue of fertilizer, and just last year, like you were saying, it was sold at 2,000 plus, something like that. If my mind serves me very well, 2005, I don't know, but then
yes,
around that end.
It started at 2.5, then
Yeah.
they brought it down to 2.
Okay, 2. Yeah, but then one would also say, for example, somebody who is not an economist, for example, also say that the government was doing that probably also to try to gain, to try to have something like selling the fertilizer in order to gain something also out of it, that the government will also invest again. Some of us, some of us, we are not economists, and those watching so might also say that yes, this is government was doing it purposely for this one also, in order to develop other areas or to do another thing.
I think that will be a bad strategy.
If that is the case, right?
It's not even a good economic strategy, because agriculture is one of your key productive areas. So if you stifle it by overpricing the inputs, because you want some income there, you are already failing in terms of your economy, the returns that you are expecting agriculture to bring into your GDP. So that was a strategy that wouldn't work. 2017, I was involved in the fertilizer tender. Tender, and somebody won, and the price we gave was $750 at that time.
$750.
Yes, $750 then. It's supposed to be subsidized, but you can see that even developed countries like the US, after COVID, they were pumping funds into the agricultural sector. So they don't want the sector to collapse.
To crumble, yeah.
You know, very significant investments were given to their farmers. You know, serious amounts of money. We haven't seen anything, you know, close to that, or even that looks like an investment in the agricultural sector. Bringing the fertilizer price down from last year's 2,000 to this year, it does not mean that all the farmers still can afford that $1,000 a bag. Because depending on the size of your farm, some will have need 5 bags, some even up to 10.
Let's say, for example, if somebody has maybe 500 meters by 500, you happen to cultivate that.
Yes, 25 hectares, it will require a lot of fertilizer. So you're talking more than maybe 10 bags, 15, 20 bags, sometimes you need that. And if you price that, you tell a poor farmer, bring $10,000 to buy fertilizer. The seeds are not yet counted, the seed nuts. They have to secure that also. Then the plowing services, they have to pay that. So the input cost goes on and on and on. You know, it's unaffordable to the average farmer. For the big farmers, maybe they have resources they can do. But most of the Gambian farmers are household farmers, you know, family-owned farms. And
subsistence farmers that, grow crops.
So they cannot invest like 10,000 just in fertilizer. Then they wouldn't eat. Some of them.
Don't you think also there should be at least a solution also for these organic fertilizers? Because I think the fertilizers are also costly.
It's a shift. If it's produced adequately here. But our farmers do it because sometimes they will pay for a cattle ranch to go and spend the summer in the farm. So that's the way.
So that it can be fertilized.
Yes. But you know, you cannot do that for everybody. Other methods of production, agriculture, they create compost
manure.
Yes, various items. That's also possible.
So there it came, the issue of livestock sector. You know, you were mentioning that. That's where I stop you. This country, when you talk of agriculture, like I said, I happen to at least study a certificate in livestock sector at the college, at least. So, Mike is not the only thing that I hold. So, but with all seriousness, that area is very important. We wouldn't argue over that. When you talk of agriculture in this country, people only think about growing crops. That's agriculture. Understand? When your ministry came, when you were at the ministry before, was there any plan in terms of, creating livestock sector that would go? Because you were earlier on, you were just saying, for example, some will go to hire maybe cattle, bring them to their land, so that the land can be fertile for another season. So imagine if you were having, let's say you are having your own cattle, you are also having your own farm. Let's say you wouldn't have to spend money to go and pay or to go and borrow that one to bring it in your farm. So they go together. So was there any plan that currently you are not seeing now?
When I was at finance, I negotiated the small ruminants project from IDB, Islamic Development Bank.
Okay.
We brought something like $20 million. So that project was supposed to help with this
livestock sector,
small ruminants, those are sheep and goats, maybe someone going for rabbit production or things like that. These are just small. Doesn't include larger animals like cows. That was supposed to help boost our production.
Livestock sector, right?
For small ruminants.
Okay, small ruminants, small, okay.
But you can see up to the last Tobaski, the majority of the sheep, the flock that are coming into this country are from across the border. The Senegal, Mauritania, Mali, it's like that. It's not local production.
Local one.
We have some local sheep farmers that are doing well, but no, if you compare that to the demand, we're very far short in terms of local production.
I believe I'm not an economic, but I believe that can be part of the reason why this having a RAM also, and also the foreign exchange.
Because if you go to Senegal, you have to take safer, and you can see the price of safer rising. The last time I checked was 525. I don't know what it is now, but 525. It's extremely high. So cost of goods coming in with that kind of price, that's why all the costs will go up. So I think the agricultural sector, to say the least, has failed.
So what happened to that project that you were able to lobby? We know you are not in the system, but then did you already start, and then subsequently after leaving,
the groundwork was being done. Had signed the agreement, so now the implementation. At that stage, I had left finance. So, but it's not visible. Maybe they would be financing some small farmers. I don't know the details, but it's not visible. If it was there and they are making tangible production, you can easily see it.
Was there any timeline for it? Let's say, for example, if there is a plan to say this is going to be, for example, this is the target from this year to this year, we are going to make sure we, have this amount
so
of
many
production.
sheep or so many goats, it would have been better. But like most of the projects, Gambia, we are using the project system to implement our development programs. But you can see that once you implement a project, some of them, after the implementation, you don't see any trace of the development activity.
The impact?
The impact, you don't see it. Let's go to rice production. How many projects do we have? Farmer Rice Management Project 1, Project 2, LADEP, and I don't know the other names, the acronyms that they use. So many.
The giraffes,
Yes. Maybe about 5 to 10 projects. But we are still importing 80% of our rice. Where is the impact of all these projects? It's not there. So I think I would say at the planning level, the strategic level, the government has failed over the years. We have not planned adequately and so that the investments go to the right direction in terms of these projects.
So, for example, when you were living at the rice production aspect of rice production, was there something also, or a plan that was put in place?
We had from the donors conference in Brussels, myself and Nodavo, we traveled to France. A train from Brussels to Paris, and we met with the officials, French Agency for Development, Agency France for the Development, and some of the ministers we met. That's how we brought in that 50 million euro to France.
50 million euro?
Yes, Frankie was there. And we are going to pilot this rice production in the URL in terms of technically upgrading production methods, irrigation, and to mechanize it. So that's what we insisted. We said we don't want to deal with the hoe and the plow, this small, old rudimentary farming. You cannot go on large scale to produce those ones. You want to mechanize your farming. You want to irrigate it. This can be done. We have all the fertile land. We have the river, half of the river fresh water. So they choose URR to start. But we haven't had anything that has been produced to the extent that we say, oh, the government has made real good use of these resources, this investment.
But it was already approved?
It was an opportunity, yes. So the funds. But the site where they were supposed to build, the way the contracts were awarded for the management, development, I cannot see, like other projects, a trace of what happened. List also, because the plan was to start with URL and roll it over, CRR, LRR, all the land growing areas. Gambia would have been self-sufficient in rice production.
That can be?
Yes, that can be done.
We have that for example, that land that will be able
there.
to...
It's there. The water is there. It's just the investment and the proper investment in the right direction. Not just giving contracts. People say, oh, dig canals here for farmers. You dig canals, they don't have inputs, they don't have fertilizer, and they don't have the machinery, So what do you expect? They cannot.
I am thinking, for example, if the country currently, if Gambia is able to sustain itself in terms of rice, and then the bag of rice happen to go down, I'm imagining how people will enjoy it, because here today we spend a lot of money buying bag of rice, which is also the price is going high. Understand? The price is going high.
Development starts with feeding yourself, because if you are hungry, you cannot be productive. You cannot go to work and say we're going to design this massive infrastructure, we are going to design this hospital and so on. A hungry man
is an angry man.
It's an angry man in one way. So you see all these countries that are developed, food is available in abundance, most of it. I've studied in UK, I've traveled to other countries, but you go, food everywhere. And it's prices that are affordable, So, like all this chicken coming here, you find that when I was a student, I cook for myself. So, you buy adequately from your resources. It's not a problem. So you move on to the other things that are critical, for the future development.
Like
but
education,
we cannot
health.
feed ourselves. Because most people, if they come, I want you to help me. Today I have not cooked lunch in my home. Give me fish money. Somebody looking for fish money, would you think of maybe investing in a, let's say, productive venture or something? It's actually the lowest level of development that we are. When you cannot even afford 1 square meal a day, that is sad. And really, it's a crime against humanity. We have to be able to feed ourselves, produce surplus. That capacity is there. But we keep playing around with the little resources that we have, and in the end, they don't produce anything to solve the situation.
Yeah, so we... earlier on, I was going through Africa Development Bank's. I was going through World Bank Africa, Africans report on the Gambia, the economy of the Gambia. I think this was released on early June. I happened to see, for example, they were saying our economy is projected to 5.5% GDP from 2023 to 2025. But supported by increased economic activities. Understand? So, and we wouldn't say that without talking about our different ministries, understand, sectors. So, but what I'm thinking is, what are the most important sectors? You've already mentioned agriculture. Understand? You have that privilege. You work with different ministries as a Minister of Finance. But what are the most important sectors or ministries, sectors that, for example, the country should focus on? Because to me, who is not an economist, I'm thinking that all these sectors cannot be active equally. We need to focus because we are behind. We need to focus on, for example, some of them and try to see how we. This is my perspective as an individual. But what are the most important sectors that you think we should focus first? You've already mentioned agriculture.
You know, that's a difficult.
It's a difficult
question.
It's a challenging one.
If you tell a human being, what part of your body is more important? Is it your hands or your legs, or is it the head?
They are connected, right?
They are all connected.
They are connected, right? So
they are all very important, and it requires.
And what they are saying, the report is even saying all this supported by increased economic activities from all the sectors.
Yes,
that's what the report says.
Even the health sector, you have the private sector in the health departments.
Yeah.
So they are doing a lot of activity, but the government health system, that one is declining in terms of services to the population. A lot of things are missing. Drugs are missing. Consumables are missing. You know, if you go to the children's wing, not only Banjo, but even Sarakunda Hospital, you have 2 babies, sometimes 3, sharing a bed. Health-wise, is that something you should do? Is that something that should happen? What is happening today? Our hospitals have no resources to meet the challenges that they're facing. So easily, you don't know whether one illness will transfer to another. You know, so the health sector is very important. I think we have failed in improving and investing in the primary health care system. Instead, we think about big hospitals and this. But before, the primary health care system was very productive. You've had bad attendants at villages, you know. They have also small medications like for headache or for diarrhea or something, they can easily treat it before you even go to the hospital. So you need to address this, sometimes first-line screening of patients. And only serious cases, you can move to the hospital. But health sector is important. The infrastructure sector is important, like our ports. Today, our economy is going down, and we are very dependent on Senegalese port. Most people bring their goods through because of the lack of investment in our own ports and the lack of efficiency, you know, in terms of lack of equipment to handle the inflow of vessels, you know, and to discharge their goods in the country. So some vessels turn around and go and dump your products in Senegal. So it's very bad economically for this country.
Like for vessels,
all the goods coming through Senegal instead of coming through Ghana. So we are losing a lot in terms of port revenues, in terms of the employment of the dock workers, the people who are taking care of these containers, the transport sector, all the related industries that are serving the ports. So it's a big setback.
So we I know this that we are blessed with this river. We're surrounded by the river, which is a blessing. I think it was around last year. I had former foreign minister saying that is I'm going to forget the name, but saying that the Gambia need to build another port again, different port. Is there any need for us to build, or the port need to be increased, for example?
Recently, Amadou Sanneh in his interview was saying they're going to build a deep water port in Sanyang, turnaround time will be zero.
But I think that can that be able to pursue?
Let us see where the resources are coming from, or who are the investors who are going to build it. We first make do with what you have. With this port, you need to invest in it, expand the jetties so that you can have these big ocean-going vessels which can dock. Present lighting, only 2 big ones can dock at the same time.
Only
the rest
2.
have to be light, smaller vessels. So it's a big handicap for the country and its economy. Gambia is mainly a business economy, trading, import, re-export, that's what you're doing. Now, if your capacity is sort of it's a bottleneck at the ports, then the whole sector suffers. The whole business trading sector, they are suffering. So it's a serious setback for the country. And then you go to the energy sector, which is critical for development, because energy is cross-cutting to all sectors. Hospitals, you go to hospitals sometimes, they say there's no water here. Even to RVH and the nurses, there's no water here. How do you treat your patients if you don't have water? That is critical. So the infrastructure is important, like the ports, the energy sector, electricity infrastructure. We are paying car power. I haven't seen the agreement, but I understand they are in dollars. And today, what's the dollar rate in the market? Maybe around 63 something. I know Central Bank will say, no, it should be sold at 58 or so. But, they are creating a black market in essence.
And
that's not the value of the dollar.
So what is the meaning of that black market? What is the meaning of that black market?
They call it black or parallel market, whatever it is. Those are private people dealing in foreign currencies.
And for what reason? Saying
yes, of course, for business, for profit. Any business in foreign exchange, forex bureaus, they want to earn a profit. They want to earn a margin. So the government has failed in its policy because they are trying to manage the exchange rates instead of letting the market decide. So they come with directives to banks: you must buy it at this rate, or you must sell it not beyond this price.
Okay, so they're controlling
the exchange rate.
So to you, for example, they shouldn't do that. They should leave it in the world market.
Yes,
should be dictated.
2017, early 2017, we had serious difficulties getting dollars, but we liberalized. We removed all the controls that were there from the previous regime, like any foreign exchange that the banks buy, they have to sell by a percentage, about 15%, if my memory serves me right, to the central bank. We removed all those, and the banks were flooded with foreign currency. They were offering central bank foreign currency to sell to them. The system was working. But when you intervene in the market, economists will tell you, it creates a distortion. And that's what we are facing. Because now you'll go to a bank and say, $1, because it's poorly priced. Maybe people are not interested in putting their dollars again into the map because they want to convert it at the bank rate, they lose. So that is poor economic management in a way. Then you go to agriculture. Agriculture is also failing. Productivity is not there. You can see that most of our vegetables even are flooded from Senegal. And if you see northern Senegal, they are closer to the desert. We have, comparatively, I think we would have a better arable land than the northern part. I know southern Casanova is also good in terms of the rain and forest cover. So, but we are not making the right investments. We'll do projects and projects. At the end of the projects, everything is back to zero.
Which institution, for example, or sector do you think provides more income for this country? In your experience, when the time you were there?
It's mainly the trading sector and the financial services. Then they generate a lot of income for this country.
The trade and the financial
services, but still going down. Our manufacturing sector is hardly alive. Very, very low. Maybe they will contribute on something like 8% or so. We don't have.
So we go to the issue of NAWEC. You earlier on you were saying about the issue of water, but then electricity.
Nowadays
I was in fact. I think I have seen just last week. I've seen a press release from the Ministry of Finance. I think saying the Africa Development Fund approves $20 point something electricity improvement, something like for for the energy sector. Understand? But earlier on, when you were there, how was you dealing with them, and how do you connect that to current situation? Because definitely the issue of light going and coming, and it's costly.
It's very expensive.
Yeah.
From my personal budget, I've experienced that. Now I have to put off light.
You You're putting it off.
It's gone way too high.
Yeah, but if it was high
for the ordinary person.
Yeah, what my problem is, even if it is high, if we are able to have a very stable electricity, at least one would able to understand that. I listened to Nani Juara the last time justifying, saying also the amount of money government supposed to pay them, things like that. But if you look at NAWEC, those loans were there. And then if you look at NAWEC today, the way it is going, it is becoming bad every day, how the current is going and coming. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So, when you are there, you deal with them. How do you deal with them by then?
When the coalition government took over 2017, it was really bad. They were filling in areas in terms of loan repayments. Their stock of crude oil, this heavy fuel oil, was almost finishing. I think it was around 2 weeks. So we had to design a strategy, and we were able to improve the situation, make a tender, bring in heavy fuel, because the heavy fuel was not tendered. It was always given to Bazi, the previous government.
Okay, it was
everything was Bazi.
You are Mohamed Bazi.
When Bazi was important, pricing it, at will. So we changed that. We brought in tenders, competition, and we were able to reduce the costs for NAWEC by 18%. We were able to reduce, and the quality of the fuel was much better. Then we worked on an electricity roadmap where we are going to rehabilitate some engines and then invest in new ones to meet the projected demand. So over the time, it was there. We've made a project document for IDB. I've always said that so many times, for 50 megawatts, help boost the production capacity. Because most of the machines were since those who can remember PWD times, very old machines. Now you cannot get those parts. They have to be manufactured, So those old machines, really, if you go to power station and see what is there, it's terrible, So those ones really, they needed to be scrapped. New ones needed to be built. So that's why we went in for 50 megawatts. That would have really helped boost the supply side. But somehow when we left, it fell on the floor and in the dustbin, I don't know. But then this car power came in. We are paying in dollars.
Car power, what do you mean exactly?
Car power, that's the power boat anchored. And you pay in dollars. And the dollars is depreciating. NAWEC is charging customers in dollars. Now they have to convert those dollars to dollars to pay.
You mean it has to come from people?
Yes, that's why you have 40% increase. So if the foreign exchange keeps, going up, let's say from 63, if we reach 70, they might have to add another 40% to be able to buy the same amount of dollars to get that energy. Strategically, it's a failure. Long term, these sort of arrangements are good for short term. But if you have to go, and I understand they've renewed it for another 8 years, but they've renewed the contract. That is tying the country, the energy sector. Instead of investing in your development, your own sources, you can have, solar energy plants, different parts of the country.
You mean another solution per se?
Yes, you could have that. And there were private investors who were willing to come and invest without government funds to produce electricity. All they need is a guarantee from NAWEC that they'll buy the output that they have produced. It's a sort of a PPP arrangement. So car power is in dollars. Senegal, whether it's in CFA or in dollars, is foreign currency.
The Senelec.
Yes, from North Bank, all these areas that connecting to Senegal. So again, foreign exchange becomes very crucial. So now, and the dollar is very weak. It's falling in value. So every time the exchange rates rise, we have trouble in the economy.
We have to get a lot of money?
More dollars to pay those dollars and CFA. So the increase is hard on the ordinary man. But if you go to NAWEC, maybe that increase, if they exchange it to dollars, it will be at the same level as this or a little bit more, I don't know. But it just shows that the roadmap is failing. It's not helping the ordinary man. You are not getting constant light, and the cost of it is exorbitant. So where are we going?
So to close that chapter, what do you think should NAWEC embark on now to be a solution?
We should invest in energy within the country.
Meaning,
you see,
what we have.
We should invest here in solar and in other energy. Heavy fuel, people are saying it's not so cheap in running, but you have gas turbines, you have different times, windmills, you know.
Yeah,
we
windmills
can
at the
do
beach
that.
sides.
Yes,
And we have in the river.
we can do that. But so far, the strategy is just to take from these outside sources and bring in. But these power cuts will continue. If there's a crisis in Senegal, as we had seen the political torment, there was power outages. Yeah, it affects us. So whatever happens there, it will have an impact in this country.
Yeah.
So if you don't have your own base, at least the minimum to sustain your power services, then where's the power you are going to give to the hospitals, the schools, the industry,
So at least you are saying there should be at least a backup that we're going to use, for example, in case of any emergency, to serve the hospitals, the areas that are very, very important.
And we're talking about the hotel industry. You cannot bring tourists and keep them in darkness. it's not something which will sell your industry. They'll say, oh, that country, don't go there. And if you go, the lights will go out and you cannot even see yourself in your room, So we need to invest seriously in the energy sector. I know this OMVG Kaleta Dam in Guinea, we are getting supply from there to buy a certain quantity, and that is good. Because normally it's cheaper than production.
Okay.
But you should be strategic in managing your country's power system, energy sector.
Yeah, that would take us to another topic. We talk of investment. You were saying the issue of investment. How and just not long ago, we got an information from the Ministry of Finance that they've signed a contract with Africa 50. Understand, where the country is going to be giving $100 million so that it can be spent on national development projects in exchange of handing over the Senegambia Bridge to Africa 50 for some period. And then it is going to be given from the press conference. It is going to be given in the form of, like, for example, when it is signed, the first money that is going to be given to the country is going to be around $20 million. Sorry, $20 million. Then from there, 50, from there, 30 in the same year. This is what we had. But and there was also debate around the issue. Some are saying it's a loan, some are saying it's a mortgage, some are saying different things. And also you have another thing also from the aspect of the National Assembly complaining that it didn't go through the National Assembly to ratify it. You understand? So you have different complaints. But first we look at these things one by one. What is the difference between loan and mortgage and other things? First, I think viewers need to understand this first. Then we can go into detail.
Yes. You see, for a loan, you go to the financing institution. You sign an agreement for a loan. Say $50 million or so. They agree. The terms are spelled out, and your repayment system is there. Then it's approved. For example, this fiber optic broadband cable. I signed the loan. I went for it in China. Got the loan. Although the World Bank was hot on my neck because it has to be concessional. That means the interest rates should be below something like 4%. The concessionality is calculated in a way, so it should be very low. And we were able to achieve that. We got the loan from China, brought it to the National Assembly, got it ratified, and then that's why you have this last mile. They were digging all the place to connect all this fiber.
Yeah, I have seen that.
Okay, that was the program. That was a loan. And that loan shifted to Gamtel because with the fiber optic, they can sell those lines and make money. So to repay that loan. So in a sense, that's the way the investment was structured.
So that was loaned. You take, for example, 50 million. When you pay back, and then add the like, for example, the concessional town you are saying, for example.
The concessional rate in terms of the interest rate.
Then you add the interest rate there. And it becomes a loan.
Yes,
it
is a loan.
So, exactly. So what of the mortgage?
Mortgage is something like, even for the ordinary person, you go to a bank, you mortgage your house to give you some funds. If you fail, they'll sell your house.
You give it. They gave you, for example,
you deposit your title there. You sign the agreement. If you fail, that's why you have all these business courts. A lot of people, they have collaterals, and they have to sell their compounds.
For that one, if you fail, they'll take it.
Yes, but the broadband is a government-to-government loan. It's not guaranteed by the infrastructure, the fiber optic cable. No, they have confidence in us as a government. We'll give you loan and we'll promise to pay. So other forms of mortgage, like in Europe, most houses are purchased on mortgage. So you repay gradually the mortgage over a period, maybe 10 years or 15 years, whatever.
You take it.
Then when you finish the payment, the house becomes yours.
Well, if you don't finish it,
then
you will not take it.
No, you cannot take it.
So now
maybe you will have a % share of that value, but you cannot take it.
So but you will not lose, you will have a % share.
No, like I think that will be.
So but the issue of this $100 million,
yes,
how would you call it?
No, they are calling in different terms.
Privatizing, loan, mortgage, or what? Because they are saying it's an agreement that Africa 50 is going to control it for this years, for example, from this year to this year, from this year to this year, and they're going to also pay the money, and then after paying, there's also an amount on top of the 100 million US dollars. So if that is paid, then they now take back, you understand, the bridge. But how would you call it? This is confusing, to be honest, because you have a lot of debate.
Serif, it will be confusing. It lacks clarity. It lacks transparency. Still now, I don't know if you've seen the agreement. I have not.
I did not see it.
Okay. So something for the public, and it's still hidden on somebody's drawer. Where's the transparency? Where's the accountability factor there? They are taking those 100 million, not for themselves, on behalf of you and me and the donkey cart driver going to Bakote dump site, the poor farmer going to the farm. We all part of it. We are all stakeholders. So this thing you are taking the loan, or whatever name you call it, on our behalf. And still you keep everything on the carpet.
So, but according to the information we had, you call it loan or mortgage or what, in your own understanding? Although we didn't go a step to, if it had gone through the National Assembly, we would have seen the agreement, we would have known a lot.
It would have become public. And the people will have through their representatives. Their voices will be heard, and their opinions will be given on the floor on this agreement.
The minister also can defend
Yes.
it.
And then, the sad thing is they're saying that the Finance Act gives them the powers. No. The Constitution, if you check, I think section 150 or 151, all funds must be taken through the consolidated fund. And that is where all government revenues go to consolidated fund. All expenditures must be authorized. Authorized by who? Is the National Assembly that have the powers under the Constitution to authorize the expenditure. And how do they do that? Through these budgets. But you cannot come and say, oh, I'm going to recycle this asset and get 100 million, and then I'll spend it on infrastructure, but I don't have to go to the National Assembly. This is disaster.
So how would you call
This
it?
is a disaster.
Based on what the information you have now, how would you call it? Loan, mortgage, or what? Privatizing, or what? In your own way.
It is a loan in a sense, guaranteed by the income stream from the bridge. It's like you are opening a small business. You are dealing with your bank. They know what your weekly deposits are. Then you say, look, I want to increase my business level. So I want much more, maybe 100 million. Yeah? They'll tell you, okay, now let's see your income flow. Let's calculate how long it would take, plus their markup and commissions, whatever, If they are satisfied that over the period of the loan, your business will be able to pay, they can give you those funds. Simple as that. All the fancy names and so on is irrelevant.
It's irrelevant.
We have an income stream at the bridge. They're giving different figures. But the last one I heard from the minister was saying monthly it has jumped up to $59 million every month.
What they're collecting?
Yes. So I checked over 25 years. You know how much that would work out? At their own exchange rate of around 58, 59. It's about $305 million for the 25 years. So why take 100 million when the potential is there? You will generate that 305 million. The only thing is you are not getting it immediately, but you can get it over the period and manage yourself properly.
So do you? There is no need for even there's no need even to take that 100 million. We need to try to get it.
I'll tell you where the need has come. When your government goes and their back is on the wall, they cannot finish their road projects. Akalang is still stranded. Other roads are also stranded. The projects are not moving. The recurrent expenditure is so high. Let me say, even some of the alcalos were complaining they have not been paid for months, more than 5 months, 6 months. I cannot pay their salaries. You promise them, you put it in the budget, and still you cannot pay them. The expenditure, the loan repayments, the recurrent expenses of the government in terms of salaries and a heavy budget. If you are stranded, you need cash. So to unlock that cash, you say, well, the bridge is there. Let us throw it to these people, and we can get 100 million. But at what rate? 15%, which is extremely high for government to borrow. And you say you are building infrastructure. No credible government would do that. No real strategic thinking person will go in for 15% to build infrastructure. Infrastructure, you go for this long-term loans, 20 to 40 years, at very low interest. Some you can get at 2% or maybe up to 4%. Because the infrastructure.
So the longevity will not be a problem. For example, the loan,
20.
No, for example, if you had to, for example, if they were to maybe, for example, make it 40 years or 50 years, for example, and the interest becomes low, that would be better. Is that what you mean exactly?
No, that's not what I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean the structure of the funding, because the purpose they say is for infrastructure.
Yeah.
But people don't build, countries don't develop their infrastructure through these high cost loans, 15%. Because just see this battle hiding highway to the airport road. How many years is it going to take you to build? Infrastructure you build, it takes a long time. Some will take you 3 to 5 years to build. All right. So these are not easy things. That's why you need long-term loans for that, and very cheap cost. Because the time you take to build, you cannot recover. You are not getting any income from there. You know. So to say you're going for 15%, that is too much.
It's a bad decision.
It's like if you want to build a house, you say, no, I want a loan at 15%. You think that you'll be able to pay it? It will be very expensive. And I'll tell you, most of the housing loans through parastatals or even government, they are very low interest rates. It's 2%, 3%, 4%, 5% at most. Because it's a long-term investment. You know?
Yeah. So now we come back to the issue of ratification and cabinet approval.
Yes.
What is the difference between two? Or can one go without the order, for example? Because in this case, they are saying it is approved by the cabinet, and the minister said there is no need for it to go through the National Assembly.
Legally, I think that's wrong. Cabinet is part of the executive. National Assembly is the legislature. So these are two different arms of government. Why is it that cabinet will approve a budget from finance and then they cannot spend until they bring it to the National Assembly to get authorization to be able to spend on that budget? And based on those budget lines that are approved, because that's the law. The Constitution states that all expenditures must be approved by law. And that is through the National Assembly.
So it means the step taken by the
it's
Minister
illegal.
Of Finance is illegal.
It's illegal in that sense. If they go ahead without any ratification from National Assembly, I think Africa 50, being a mature institution, would know that if the loan is not ratified, maybe another government will come and say, look, this is a bad loan. We cannot. This had not been ratified properly. So they will also have to ensure that this government goes through the right processes to be able to justify them to receive these funds.
So it means if, let's say, this remains until, for example, other government came, or government happens to come.
If the loan is taken, yes.
If it is already
without ratification, then to the government, it's illegal. And Africa 50 being a financial institution with all their legal experts, I'm sure they'll do better than just give money without any ratification. I think they have to.
Yeah, I think we have come to the end of the program.
Yes.
Yes.
But generally, what I would say is the government has failed the people. They were not transparent. They were not accountable. They always say, oh, we'll spend it on infrastructure. But what infrastructure? Do you know what infrastructure they're going to spend it on?
What they said is the national development projects.
What is the National Development Project?
That's what I heard.
What is it? Broad term. National Development Plan has so many things. So what are you going to spend it on? You have not told the Gambian people as yet. So you're just going to borrow the money and bring it. Can't we say these people are just going to share the money and then leave the loan on the head of the ordinary man? The market woman, the donkey driver, and the farmer, they have to repay that. And what happens if, for some reason, the bridge underperforms? That it is not generating the 59 million, instead it's generating maybe 10 million in the month. What are the conditions? We have to see the agreement to know what are the risks that the population are taking. So they are not being transparent, and I think that's the worst part of financial governance you can do for a country. You have to be plain and transparent to the people.
So, all in a sense, all the these, for example, projects, or for example, deal contracts, something like that, should go through the National Assembly. Must go through
the National Assembly.
There are exceptions
and it
to them.
should be made public. The people should know what they are going through. Because when we were at finance, they insisted, the World Bank, that we have to be transparent with our public enterprises. Their accounts are all uploaded into the Ministry of Finance website. We created that website so that everybody, every stakeholder, that is every Gambian or everyone in the country, can have access to see what they are doing, what their performance is, what are the expenditures. So that transparency has failed. The government is not being transparent, and they are not being accountable to the people, because you cannot just tell me, oh, I'll spend it on infrastructure. What is that? No. Even schoolboys, they don't act like that, because they'll go and say, I want to do subject A, B, C, D. Oh, give me money, I'm going to buy books A, B, C, D. As a government, you tell your people, oh, I'll just spend it on infrastructure development. Just a whitewash, it doesn't make any sense. So the accountability has to come. They have to tell us exactly where they are going to put that money. And the parliament has to approve that expenditure. You cannot spend outside that financial governance system. Then it will be like all the accounts we found in central bank by the previous government, 35 million loans from Taiwan, they were dumped there. They didn't go through the finance system, known to parliament. So they just spent anyhow they like. So is it what they are bringing back for us or what? Because we say it's a new Gambia, but they are taking us to the old Gambia.
Yes, I think Africa 50, yes, on the African Development Bank, are they also not, also, for example, they should not try to see this, that the government did not take this through the right channel and then try to reject it or stop it?
I think
institutions like that should be able to.
Yes, they have their legal department, they have their credit department, and they can do due diligence. And the loan for a country to be approved, it must be ratified by the National Assembly. There are no two ways around it. It has to be ratified by the National Assembly, period. But they will leave you to go through your internal processes to be able to access that loan. And the same thing, like I told you, this broadband network, fiber optic cables, they agreed. We agreed, okay, you'll sign, then you have to go, take it to your parliament, and then get it ratified and becomes effective. We give them notice on the ratification, and then the work starts. So if they close their eyes and just forget about this, the risk is that any new government who comes can say, look, this loan was not ratified,
and therefore I'm not going to pay it.
Yes, I will go to court and
it becomes a legal battle. Thank you
very
much, Honorable. You have a final remarks to give?
It's a Muslim New Year. I want to wish everyone a very happy and successful New Year. Presently the economy is very challenging. Inflation last month was around 17.3%. Business confidence was down. It was from -16 to -60. You go to the market, you have scarcity of some products. Every day people come with different stories. So if the economists will tell you, oh, your GDP will grow 5%, that doesn't mean that 5% will impact you in your the food basket or your consumption basket. The 5% could be like big infrastructure project, like this Battle Harding Road and this Hakalan Road. You put billions into it, it will boost your GDP. But it doesn't mean your consumption will.
So it means one of my lecturer was right to say, for example, we need to see from the way we measure our economy to see if the country increase from this GDP to this GDP. He said, in fact, you have a lot of development gurus sometimes who would criticize to say, for example, you can go to a country and see the country's GDP growing from 1 to 6, but still you go to the street, you see people suffering. You see poverty, people unable to have, to have anything to put on the table. So now, what is the essence of that increase in GDP? That was the critics.
Really,
we will look at that one.
You cannot take these economic parameters in isolation.
You cannot isolate them as well.
The GDP is there. You have to look at the inflation, the exchange rates, and all the other related expenditures in terms of the health parameters. How many deaths per thousand? How many births per thousand?
But you believe in percentage?
No, they always, yes, they'll always give it. They are good measures in a way. You have to have a guide, but then don't look at it one-sided.
One-sided.
You'll make a mistake and you make a wrong conclusion. Yes. So we need to work hard. We need to invest and try to save our country. We need investment, serious investment.
Thank you very much, Honorable.
Thank you
very much. It's been a while. I think that is the reason why today I keep you here for long.
No problem.
People are asking why we are not seeing you. But that is it. From your you're watching at your most interesting or important program, that is Bankola Kuwo, where we look at different things, political, economics, a lot of things with regards to and the direction of our country also. You get to hear from the opinions, from the facts and everything. So that is it. Honorable Amadou Sanneh, the former finance minister, was my guest tonight. And still, just to repeat it, the program still did not have a sponsor. We need a sponsor, or else you wouldn't see us again. That is it. And I am Sheriff Conte. Thank you very much. Until another time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And we having businessmen will complain. Ila kulun kanale fu banjol. Ibuka jino ebuka la bagaso jin. They turn back. They cut off and gold drop into Senegal. Gambia bagaso kajisena. Umasi bolet.
Dr. contributed immensely to the failure of Amadou Barrow regime from 2017 to 2020.
manke mola foye ko babu ndok monki it bar community la jero yaje ko wala be tama kan NPP kono.
Yes, ngajele because ya kende fangola. I was victimized. Who? The party executive. President ya bulobula among intervene because atele sonta yenna di political campaign.
Baro e muno fo moni ning arta hanarta ko men ko be jaralale we transport people from Mali, Sierra Leone and other countries but we are going to do it. Pour que more transport ni nalana can support for 5 years only mo isia
bari ita fono la ko ha minister la jo doyatale ngati nga minister tal allowance la pa mol membe duma minister patata nyaonya mol membe marché oto jendan jaay o famasol do Sénégal membe bolon kono wolle patata minister ti potonte balafa no la minister e ka fo minister la jo doyatale nga balafa wanto director la jo doyatale nga balafa
Yaya has the political power. Yaya has the political popularity in the Gambia. Hanibi molbe lafringalale anu hanibi ala yamaro na futa molka.
Let it be put straight that marriage should be between a man and a woman only if they reach the age of 18 and above, or if they reach maturity, because people could be matured before they reach 18.
So every year, the GFF receives $1 million from FIFA, $500,000 in January, and another $500,000 in July.